Okay, so today I am lucky enough to be joined again by my daughter Emerson,
Woohoo.
who I know loves vegetables.
I do.
More than
I'm not
anything.
just saying that. Like, I love vegetables.
Yeah.
They might be my favorite food.
Yeah, I think they are. And so you seemed like the perfect person. I really wanted to talk about seasonal food and thinking about cooking something for yourself that is in season. Let's start with one thing that is in season, a sweet potato.
Yes.
And you can tell them about our easy go-to. It takes a while, but it's so easy, and it's literally, wouldn't you say, the base of so much deliciousness in our history of cooking?
It really is. I love sweet potatoes. I actually have a weird thing where I don't like potatoes, and my mom always makes fun of me because I just don't love that russet potato taste. But I think sweet potatoes, in addition to being a superfood, also have a really yummy, caramelized sort of flavor. And I think what a lot of people don't know is they think, oh, should I microwave this? I boil it. They don't really get the true essence of the sweet potato. And the truth is, the best thing to get that flavor is just time.
Yeah,
to take your time with it. But if you think ahead, it really is no active time. It's just, you put it in the oven, you come back 2 hours later, and then it's ready.
I think about things like that, like when I walk in the door, like, okay, I'm gonna get the sweet potato in the oven. I know I want it to cook for like an hour and a half to 2 hours even.
Yeah.
And to get that really true caramelization. And then I go work out, do a gym workout, I do the laundry.
You feed the dog, you take a shower,
feed the dog,
whatever.
take a shower, whatever, return emails, like all that stuff while my potato's cooking.
And the best thing is, once it's done, you can keep it in the fridge for like up to 4 or 5 days, and you can add it into yogurt, you can have it with breakfast, you can also have it right hot out of the oven with dinner.
You can use it as a leftover with like a poached egg on top of it. All things to look for in other videos.
Yeah.
Anyways, let's quick preparation. Show them what we do with that.
You're just gonna wash it. You can get a little scrub brush. Sometimes they have them on the back of scrapers. That's very hot water. And so you'll scrub it just to get the dirt off the skin, because we're gonna leave the skin on. And then once you're done with that, you'll dry it off. I always like to kind of take that as an opportunity to try to get even more dirt that you may have not gotten off scrubbing. And then you put it down in some tin foil.
And you fold it up, roll it up like that.
And you want to make sure you're keeping all of the pockets of air closed in. You don't want to have any openings.
Like an envelope. Should I just do it again because it was so fun?
Sure, if you enjoyed it.
I did. Okay, so you just roll it up and then fold it over. Yeah, because what will happen is as the caramelization process happens, actual like juice, it almost looks like maple syrup, like sugary, yummy juice will come out. So you want that to stay in there.
That's true.
And that's it.
Goes in the oven. And then you throw it in the oven.
Goes in the oven at 450 for, we're not kidding, to get it the way
2
we're
hours.
talking about, an hour and a half to 2 hours. Yeah, you can keep checking it and it will definitely get some burnt parts to it at 2 hours. But the caramelization gets really yummy.
I think it's definitely best.
You don't need butter, you don't need anything.
No, you don't even need olive oil.
Yeah.
Or salt.
Right. Okay, so our sweet potatoes in the oven.
Shall we tackle the squash?
Let's tackle the squash. One thing that I believe in is trying to create a flat base.
To be cutting on.
To be cutting on. So the first thing...
I always cut off both ends first.
Do you?
I do. And then I cut it in half.
Oh, well...
Uh-oh, I've disrupted the whole cooking demo.
Well, let's try your way. Okay, so we're cutting off the end, and then we're gonna cut off the other end. I like this size of butternut squash. Sometimes they're really big, and sometimes they're smaller than this, so I would look for this.
Yeah, I feel
size.
like it's a good size, especially if you're cooking for 2 people. You don't really need more than that.
This is 2?
Yeah.
Okay,
I mean,
2 people, you think?
It's really just me if
you
I'm
would eat
eating
it all.
But
That
for
would
2 normal appetite
That would be
people,
your whole dinner.
With maybe some broccoli and some spinach.
Yeah, okay, which we're also gonna make. Okay, so then I'm gonna cut it in half. So a sharp chef's knife is a good thing. Okay, then
you can stand it up on the flat surface that
and that is going to give you a lot more stability to get the skin off. So what I do here is I go down the sides and I just kind of work my way around.
And the truth about butternut squash is, see, there's little parts like this where you might have a tiny bit of skin that gets left on. And that's gonna cook down and get really soft, so you don't need to worry about it too much, but you're just trying to get the majority of the skin off, but not at the expense of cutting off whole giant chunks of actual squash.
My part here, you can see, is like I ended up with that bell shape more than she ended up with this top. And if I cut straight down from the top here, you can see, if I cut straight down from the top, I'm gonna lose all of this bell part. So on the bell part here, I'm gonna start halfway down, and then I'm gonna flip it over to get that once I'm done with the whole thing. But I just wanted to show you on that bell part, I'm not going all the way from the top. And then for me, I'm gonna flip mine over because that's
so much faster than me.
Well, mine is a different shape. Okay, so I have pretty much all the skin off, so I'm gonna throw that away. Okay, so one thing that you want to be aware of in any vegetable that you're cooking is the uniformity of the size. So
yeah,
that's
you don't get super burnt bits and bits that aren't burnt.
That's
the all cook at the general
biggest
same
key here. And so for me, I'm thinking you want to, you're like, let's say that's how thick we're gonna do them. Like,
I think that's
about a half an inch.
Yeah.
So then you're going across here, looking.
A generous half inch.
Yeah, looking at your half inch, and then you just go across again. And then you just go across again. And then you pretty much have it all in half inches. And then you're gonna take that one and you're gonna do it like, so you go ahead.
Yeah, no, so then you'll take your section like that, and you can normally do about three, I like to do about three across, and then about three, actually maybe four, down the center like that.
So that you think that's a good bite size?
I think that's a pretty good bite size piece.
Okay.
And it's fun if you get a couple pieces that are like a little bit too small, because those can get crispy on the edge, sort of like when you made pancakes and you got those little dots around the pancakes. I always thought that was the best part, so you get the dot equivalent with squash.
So you're noticing probably that mine, now we've opened the squash up to the part where the seeds are, and I am just gonna I'm just gonna keep cutting it as if there were no seeds, which is the same sizing. And then I'm just gonna begin to cut around. So I haven't even had to go through the digging out the seed process. I'm just gonna cut around where the seed part is. And then that's gonna go in the garbage. Pass these to you to start chopping.
Perfect.
Because it looks like you're finished.
Almost.
So we're just gonna put that in a big bowl.
I think a safe bet is to say about a tablespoon to 2 tablespoons.
2 tablespoons, I think.
Just say 2 tablespoons of olive oil.
So it's like,
but a good drizzle is really what it is.
Drizzling over the whole thing. You do the salt, not the...
I'm always a little gun shy with the salt because you can always add salt after it's cooked, but you can't take it out.
And that's a very good point. And I'm usually an over salter, so I try to get better with that.
And then we just toss it with your hands. And so you want the squash to feel, you'll be able to feel it, that it's kind of coated in oil and a little grainy from the salt and pepper.
And then you have a sheet pan, and you just dump it on there.
Dump it out onto your sheet pan, mix that around, and you'll be amazed how much the squash actually cooks down.
Yeah, it looks like it's a lot.
Yeah, it looks like it's a lot right now, but it will not be nearly this big by the time it comes out of the oven.
So just that, and then it's gonna go in, we're doing at 400
At 400, I like to do it 45 minutes to an hour. I check it about 25, 30 minutes into it and maybe stir it around a little bit, scrape some pieces off if they're getting burnt on the bottom and toss it, and then put it back in. I like my squash to be a little more charred. Now we're gonna do our broccoli and cauliflower.
Right, which we just need to rinse first.
Yep. I like to break off these green stems before I rinse it, just because you're not gonna be cooking those, so you don't need them on there. When you're starting with the cauliflower, you have this big kind of stalk. You just want to cut it off like that. You can put that to the side with your leaves. I actually am always kind of puzzled on what the definitive way to chop cauliflower is.
I think the definitive way is you're supposed to cut this heart out like that. I mean, you're supposed to cut that out, and then that would be like what a chefy person would do, I think.
A chefy person.
A chefy person.
Which we're all capable of being.
Yeah. And so there's that. So that was so easy. I think the broccoli, kind of the same way. Like you could break it off, it does break off. You could give your kid this size and they can just really tear at that to getting that down to whatever size you want it to be. It's kind of fun. I think we don't think that I think kids would enjoy that.
I think the only time you ever really need to bring a knife into play when you're making broccoli is if you decide you want to keep some of the stem. I mean, you probably wouldn't keep this bit, you'd cut that off. But a lot of fiber is in the stem, and so you can cut these sort of stem medallions like that, and then pass that off to your kid. or your mom.
Jinx. Oh my gosh.
So we can use the same bowl that we just used for the squash. It already has a little bit of oil and salt and pepper. And I'll start putting these vegetables in there as you finish chopping.
The thing about vegetables, you said it already, but you think you're cooking a lot of vegetables.
And they really cook down.
They really cook down.
I find that I will easily eat an entire head of cauliflower alone.
So do you want to put the olive oil and the salt and pepper?
So again, it's kind of just good drizzle a couple times. Not really measuring. And then we'll toss that up and get that onto our baking sheet.
Okay, so now that is gonna go in our same oven that's at 400.
At 400, but just for a little less time than the squash. So it's been about 15 minutes.
Right.
And we'll put this in for about 30 minutes. You can check on it at 15 and stir it around if you want to.
Yeah, I think, it's crazy how much variance there really is in ovens, but I think it is probably between 20 and 30 minutes total. Okay. The last vegetable that we're going to chop, I really think is your favorite
vegetable.
Yeah.
And it's actually not technically a vegetable. It's a fungi.
Oh, that's just a totally different thing?
It's a totally different thing.
Okay.
It's mushrooms.
Uh-huh.
So there are a whole variety of different kinds of mushrooms that you can find when you go to the grocery store. There's, of course, classic crimini mushrooms, white button mushrooms, portobellos, which you're probably more familiar with as well. But then there's really fun mushrooms that I like to cook with when I can. They are a little bit more expensive, so it's more for a special occasion, and they cook down to almost nothing. So you really only want to cook this when you're cooking for yourself or maybe for 2 people. My first favorite that I want to talk about are trumpet mushrooms.
She just loves mushrooms.
I do.
So
They're so groovy and cute. And then the second one I want to talk about, and these are really fun because they come in packaging where you actually don't need to wash them.
Is that true?
They come well, these kind do.
Not these.
Pre-washed. Yes, this one.
That one too?
Yes.
All right.
Especially this one.
I think there's a big debate on wash mushrooms, don't wash mushrooms.
I think mushrooms like the portobellos that we had, you do want to wash because you want to get any dirt that's still on them off.
Sometimes they say you're just supposed to brush them, but I have been in professional chefs' kitchens and I've seen them wash them.
It, yeah.
Actually soak them in a bowl. So I really default to washing my mushrooms.
Yeah.
I'm not quite sure.
No, I think that's good. And you can always dry them so they're not retaining all of that
So I'm
moisture.
going to wash 2 of
Perfect.
these. We'll just do 2.
And this is, so we talked about the trumpet mushroom. This is my other favorite kind of mushroom. This is a maitake mushroom, but sometimes you'll hear it referred to as a hen of the woods mushroom. And then, in addition to being just really pretty, it's got this kind of great woody flavor that I like a lot, especially when it's roasted.
So show them how you like to slice them.
When I'm slicing a maitake mushroom or a hen of the woods mushroom, it has this bottom part right here that we don't really want to eat. So I'll just slice off, I want to save as much of the mushroom as possible, but I'll slice that off. And then I'll stand it up on its flat surface, kind of like we did with the squash. And I'll just go down
really gently.
Really gently, because you don't want to squish the little floury parts. So then you'll cut it and you'll get these really pretty pieces like that.
And it's pretty thin.
Yeah, pretty thin.
Yeah.
It's kind of, I kind of like to liken it to how you like your bacon. If you like thicker cut bacon, you can cut your mushrooms more thickly. And if you like thinner, you slice them thinner.
I think that's a good comparison because
when you roast them, they get a little crunchy depending on how long you want to roast them. It can be like crispy,
chips almost.
Yeah, crispy bacon. Floppy bacon? Do people say that? That's kind of weird.
It doesn't sound. I've never been at a cafe and had somebody go, "Would you like floppy bacon with your eggs?" I'm gonna pass on the floppy bacon.
Okay, so now the trumpet mushroom, which actually can really liken to bacon when you cut it.
A lot of vegans use this in replacement.
True. And I don't eat a ton of meat either, so I like to use these mushrooms as a kind of meat replacement. So we cut off the very end, and then I like to cut off just below the top like that. And then you can stand this part up, and you're gonna be careful not to cut yourself, but you'll cut down just like that.
And then you cut this too,
Yeah,
right?
I cut that too. But then you get these cool little strips that will actually crisp up to look just like little pieces of bacon.
Okay, I'm gonna wash this really quick.
And then you take the top and you can cut down along the top too, and it looks more like a traditional slice of mushroom.
Okay, so while she's finishing the trumpet mushrooms, I'm gonna tackle these portobello mushrooms. And in this case, I'm gonna cut them as thin as I can. That's pretty thin.
And the thing is, when you do cut them that thin, you really have to watch your cook time,
Yeah,
because
that's
it's easy
true.
for them to turn
Burn.
into charcoal.
Right.
So we're gonna get out our bowl
And we
again.
can put them all in together.
We can put them all in together, because we don't want to separate the mushrooms when we cook them. And then we're gonna put our olive oil again.
Our classic olive oil.
This is maybe a little more than you put on broccoli, I think.
Okay.
Just because the mushrooms kind of absorb it, and it needs that olive oil to get a little burnt and crispy when it's in the oven. And you'll sprinkle your salt and pepper.
Okay.
And then we'll just toss that up. See, I'm thinking this might need even a little bit more olive oil, because you want them to feel kind of nicely coated.
Okay.
And olive oil is healthy fat. It's not bad for you. All right, so now they're all tossed up. And it's nice to use a bigger sheet tray for your mushrooms, because although they will cook down a lot, you want them to have room to kind of spread out and not be on top of each other.
Yeah,
so they brown more properly.
Because as the water comes out of the mushroom as it's cooking, you don't really want the mushrooms to steam. You want them to crisp. So when it has more room for the water to evaporate on a bigger tray, you're gonna probably have a better result. Okay, so these are
there's
going
our tray of mushrooms going in the oven.
And here we go.
So we've gotten all of our vegetables out of the oven and arranged them on this lovely platter for dinner.
It is a roasted vegetable extravaganza.
It is.
Now, when I look at this, I kind of think, why? I mean, I know we're not addressing it in a box this episode.
Yes.
But
why eat
why would
anything
you
else?
have to eat anything else? Because this sort of gets your meat, your meat craving.
That's what I said. Your bacony.
It's got that just density
So
that
good.
makes you feel like you're eating, and these are just so perfectly, like, it's like candy.
I wish that you could taste this.
I wish you could taste it too. It's just vegetables. It's real food.
Mm-hmm.
Think of that. People eating real food.
And speaking of which, we also finally, it's been 2 hours and we now have our sweet potato. So we're gonna open it up, and you can actually see, if you look inside, all of that caramelization that's happened.
Yeah. Wow.
That is just,
oh my gosh, that is so ridiculously good.
oh my God.
Right?